In this second lesson on creating a camera holder for a GoPro for a near space balloon using FreeCAD, we will start with the file that we created in our first lesson. We'll begin dragging it. We will hold the control key as we continue to drag it, and while still holding the control key, we will release the mouse button. Now we've created a copy. We will double click that copy to open FreeCAD. Once we open FreeCAD, we will ensure that we are in the part design workbench, and we will also take a look at our model. We'll click once on it to make that window alive. We can zoom in using the page up key. We can pan by holding Shift and using the trackpad, and we can rotate by holding Alt and using the trackpad. So those are what we have so far. The idea is that the GoPro goes in there face first and the lens goes out that hole. Remember that we didn't know the dimensions when we made this one. All right, let's go to the top view and let's go into our model and let's add some dimensions. I've measured a GoPro and we have this little sheet of dimensions. So note that the width is 60 millimeters, the width of the camera, and we need to add a couple of millimeters on each side for the ABS plastic. So we will go back to our very original 2D sketch base and double click it, and then we will hit the page down key to zoom out a little bit, and we will double click this and type in 60. And then we have the height as 42 millimeters. We'll double click this and add 42. But remember that we need to add thickness to the plastic. So if we add thickness to the plastic, it's really 64 here, since that's the outer dimension. And it's really 46 here. So I want you to observe how easily we've updated our drawing. Now we have the outside right, and we're ready to close that. It's fully constrained still. The next thing we need to do is we need to make it the correct thickness. We originally had 34, but it turns out that the camera is 30 deep, and adding 2 millimeters for the front face of plastic, it should be 32. I'm going to change this to 32 and look what happens to the hole. And what we've done now is we've padded all the way through because the internal pocket is now too deep. Anyway, don't worry about that right now. Everything we've done is okay so far. We're going to go up and do a save. Now we will work on the pocket. So first we'll go to the two-dimensional outline of the camera. And the camera, instead of 40, turned out to be 60. We double-click that, 60. The camera, instead of 35 high, turned out to be 42 high, so we double-click that, change it to 42. And now we close that. Note that we still haven't solved the problem of the pocket going all the way through the model, and we're going to find out why in a minute. The camera turns out to be 30 millimeters deep, and that means that we need the pocket, well, you'll see. So we're going to go here now, and we're going to change that to 30, and now we're back to what we expected. Finally, let's work on the lens, and when we work on the lens, this is the most important part of this lesson because we're going to see how to reference external geometries. So we will save our drawing so far in case we make a mistake. Then we will go to the two-dimensional drawing that shows where the lens is, and we knew we were wrong, so we didn't constrain that at the time we drew it. Now, first we can do the easy part, which is the diameter. The diameter is 20 millimeters. That means that the radius is 10 millimeters. We will click that once to turn it green. We will go up here, and we will impose a 10 millimeter radius constraint. Now, it's under constrained by only 2 degrees of freedom. And the 2 degrees of freedom are that it can move up, down, left, and right. The next thing we have as a note for the lens is that the lens should be the center of the lens should be 18 millimeters down from the top. So now we will use the external geometry reference tool, which is here. I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to go over that. It turns yellow, and I'm going to click it. And then this is tricky. We're going to try to constrain that 18 millimeters down from the top. It's always a little hard to grab that tool. We'll give it a shot. Notice right now none of the constraint tools are alive. If we click this, we woke up the constraint tools. If we further click that center dot, and now we click this, which is the spacing tool, we can set that to 18. All right. Now we have a 10 millimeter radius. We have 18 millimeters down from the top. And let's look again at our sheet of dimensions. It needs to be over by 15 millimeters. So let's go back to our FreeCAD drawing. Let's maximize it again. Let's get our external geometry tool again. And the reason we need the external geometry tool is because the outline of the pocket is not part of the circle sketch. So normally you cannot use things outside of your sketch, but if we use this tool, we can. So now I'm going to go pick up this outline of the pocket, click it once, it turns green. Now I'm going to click it again, and when I click it again, it wakes this up. I'm going to click this, and now I'm going to click this again, and I'm going to make it 15 millimeters, hit return, and now we have fully constrained hole for the lens. We're going to close this, and we're going to go back here to the pocket. It's through all, we'll say OK. And at this point, we have a usable case for a GoPro. So there we go. The GoPro will have a friction fit inside that box, and the lens will stick out that hole. And on the other side, you'll see the lens coming out, and that would hold our camera for near space balloon launch. So we will save it. We will exit FreeCAD. And that concludes lesson 2.